Happy 2026. We made it. Another year of being the most organized nation on earth. We kicked off the year exactly how a rational, enlightened society should. Burn down 19th century church and blowing the fingers of children. In Amsterdam, the Vondelkerk, a monument that survived the Nazis, the 1970s, and Pierre Cowper's own ego, finally met its match. A 5-euro cardboard tube filled with gunpowder and the collective urge of a teenager to feel something, anything, because the calendar changed. The police called the night hectic, which in Dutch is the same word we use for a slightly busy Albert Heijn on a Saturday. It's a beautiful word, hectic. It suggests that the national riot is just a minor scheduling conflict. We don't have crisis here. We just have unfortunate logistics. Within minutes of the first spark, the internet did what it does the best. X was flooded with claims that the Vondelkerk was a jihadist attack. Influencers in London and Florida, who couldn't find Amsterdam on a map if you give them 3 tries and a compass, were mourning the fall of Christian Europe. It wasn't a holy war. It was just a Dutch kid who likes things that go boom. We don't need religious extremism to destroy our heritage. We have a liberal sales policy at the local fireworks shed and a national philosophy that says, if we ban it, people might get annoyed. Every year, the Dutch government engages in psychological experiment. They tell 20 municipalities, you may ban fireworks. Then they tell the rest of the country, fireworks are a beautiful tradition of freedom. It's the polar model applied to explosives. We don't ban things, we facilitate a conversation about them while the sky turns orange. On one side of the canal in Utrecht, you are a law-abiding citizen enjoying a quiet glass of Prosecco. 3 meters across the water, you are allowed legally to detonate a device that has the acoustic profile of a tectonic plate snapping. Let's be honest. The Rotterdam Eye Hospital isn't an eye hospital anymore. It's a seasonal sacrificial altar. Every January 1st, we perform the ritual. We have collectively decided as a society that the freedom of a 14-year-old to launch a rocket horizontally at an ambulance is worth exactly 4 or 5 blinded toddlers a year. That's the math. It's not a tragedy, it's a transaction. We pay in corneas to keep the peace with the mob. We allow the violence because the paperwork to stop it would be too un-Dutch. We call it tolerance, but it's actually just a polite way of saying we've lost the control of teenagers, so let's pretend this was the plan all along. We have surgeons, highly trained, world-class specialists, who spend a New Year's Eve not with their families, but stitching together the shredded eyeball of people who thought a Thunder King was a substitute for personality. These doctors issue the same desperate plea every single December. And every year the government listens, nods, and says, interesting. We will take it under advisement while we watch this cathedral burn down. We are the only nation on earth that treats a national holiday like a purge and then expresses sincere shock when the purge actually occurs. We treat the police like clay pigeon and fire department like moving targets. And then we have the audacity to go on Op1 and talk about social cohesion. There is no social cohesion. There is only a 3-hour window where the state admits it doesn't own the streets. And we all just hope we aren't the ones who end up as a statistic in the eye hospital's Monday morning PowerPoint presentation. It's not a celebration of New Year. It's an annual audit of how much chaos we can ignore before the insurance premiums become higher than the national pride. While the streets were burning, The government was busy doing what it does best, evaporating. The PVV, the Party of National Unity, the party of one vision, the party whose entire manifesto could fit on the back of a beer coaster, has undergone a messy public mitosis. 7 MPs have packed their bags and left Geert Wilders to form their own group. The irony here is so thick, you could build a dike with it and it would still hold back the North Sea. For 20 years, Wilders has stood in the Tweede Kamer screaming about instability, fragmentation, and the weakness of the traditional polder parties. He warned us that outsiders would tear the fabric of Dutch society apart. It turns out the greatest threat to his impenetrable fortress wasn't a refugee with a backpack. It was 7 guys in cheap suits who realized that they would rather have a stable pension and a lunch break than a 24/7 security detail and a leader who treats his parliamentary group like a collection of ventriloquist dummies. This leaves the governing coalition in a state of Schrödinger's cabinet. On paper, they are in power. In reality, they couldn't agree on a color of a stop sign without 3 resignations and a 4-month parliamentary inquiry. They are simultaneously the most powerful people in the country and completely, utterly irrelevant. But don't panic, this is the Netherlands. We don't actually need a functioning government to have a functioning bureaucracy. The ship is sinking, the hull is breached, and the captain is currently locked in a bathroom crying into a bowl of bitterballen. But don't you worry. The crew is still very busy making sure the lifeboats are parked at the perfect 90-degree angle, and the passengers have filled out their intent to drown forms in triplicate. We are ruled by the ghost of coalition, haunting a building that's been under renovation since the Golden Age, presided over by a man whose party just halved because his own MPs realized they were living in a political hostage situation. It's not governance. It's a group of therapy session where everyone has forgotten the therapist's name. Now let's talk about your freedom. On January 1st, the tax office, the Belastingdienst, resumed full enforcement against bogus self-employment. For a decade, the government looked the other way while corporations fired their staff and rehired them as freelancers to avoid paying for human rights like sick leave or pensions. It was great for the GDP. But now, the Belastingdienst has a new hobby: hunting. They aren't going after a CEO of delivery companies or the cleaning firms. No. They are coming for you. The graphic designer, the plumber, the person who just wanted to work without the boss breathing down their neck. The criteria for being a real freelancer are now so vague that they are basically a vibe check. Did you bring your own laptop? Did you drink the company's coffee? If you have more than 1 client but you use the company's Slack channel, you're a criminal. It's a masterpiece of gaslighting. They forced you into the gig economy to save themselves money, and now they are fining you for being in the gig economy. It's not a labor market. It's a Kafkaesque escape room where the exit is blocked by a pile of 800-page text manuals written in a dialect of Dutch that hasn't been spoken since 1640. And what are you doing with your new money? The minimum wage went up to €14.71. Groundbreaking. We are officially paying people just enough to realize exactly how much they cannot afford. Because at the same moment, the VAT on hotels and holiday parks jumped from 9% to 21%. And here is the wow part. The part where you realize our government is actually just a group of accountants playing a prank. Last year, they wanted to tax everything: books, museums, concerts, at 21%. But people protested, So the government said, okay, we will keep culture at 9%. They saved culture by sacrificing rest. If you want to go to a museum to see a painting of a bed, it's 9% VAT. If you want to actually sleep in a bed in a hotel, it's 21%. We have decided that looking art is a necessity, but sleeping under a roof while on holiday is a bourgeois luxury. Except for campsites. Camping stays at 9%. Do you see the logic? The Dutch government has decided that civilized vacation must involve sleeping on a tin mat in a field smelling like wet grass and your neighbor's barbecue. If you want a shower that doesn't require a coin, you are a high earner and you must pay for the privilege. We've turned the VAT code into a moral judgment on how you sleep. It's the ultimate Dutch insult. You want comfort? Fine. Pay for it, you extravagant pig. But hey, I don't want to leave you in total despair. We had a victory this month, a big one. The privacy group Bits of Freedom actually beat Meta in court. Mark Zuckerberg's lawyers tried to fight it until the very last second, but they finally blinked. They dropped their appeal. This means that here, in the land of dikes and digital bureaucracy, you finally have the right to see your Instagram and Facebook feeds in chronological order, permanently. No more suggested for you garbage, no more algorithm mind control. This is the ultimate victory for Dutch spirit. Finally, we can see the world falling apart in the exact order it's actually happening. No more letting an American billionaire decide which disaster we see first. We can watch the Vondelkar burn at 12, see the PVV split at 12, and watch our bank accounts drain into the Belastingdienst abyss at 12. It's so much more organized. It gives the chaos a sense of structure. We don't want to fix the problem, we just want to see the receipt in 4K. We want the right to watch our society dissolve in real time, one post at a time, exactly as God intended.
Hallelujah! 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 Hallelujah!
So here we are, late January. The surgeons at the eye hospital are finally getting a full night's sleep. 7 MPs are currently arguing over whether their new party logo should be a tulip or a middle finger. And you? You are earning €14.71 an hour, paying 21% more to sleep in a rainy bungalow in Zeeland, while being hunted by the Belastingdienst for the crime of owning a laptop. Everything is working exactly as intended. We are pragmatic, we are efficient, we are currently staring a pile of smoldering 19th century bricks and calling it a learning moment. We are a nation that has mastered the art of being organized while everything is on fire. We don't riot, we don't revolt. We just send a strongly worded letter and hope the VAT on the stamps doesn't go up before it arrives. Happy New Year! Try to keep your fingers. You're going to need them to sign the new tax form. And if you're lucky, maybe you can use them to scroll through your chronological feed while the sea levels rise.